Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Tales of the Valiant CR Exposed. On today's episode we are looking at the Manticore from the Monster Vault 1. Monster Vault 1 is the technical unofficial name because there's a Monster Vault 2 in the works. I think there might be a closed Kickstarter for that, maybe some late backing, I don't know. They didn't ask me about it, but that's okay. So let's go ahead and take a look at this monster. We'll talk about the business later on. Let's just jump right into the news here. So we are looking at a CR3 monster, so we're going to go ahead and swap that to CR3. From there, we're going to start looking at the information up here. Some of this information is important. At the moment, we are looking for 80 hit points, which is its base number. So for CR3, we're expecting a proficiency bonus of 2, 13 to 15 AC, 80 hit points, 4 to 5 attack bonus, 26 to 31 damage per round, and 13 to 15 save DC. Now, from there, our hit points are likely to go down. Generally, they don't go up unless our monster is slow or has low AC. Those are about the only easy ways to get, or you're also vulnerable. Those are only real easy way to get your hit points up on a monster. So anything, we're going to see the hit points at 80 or below. So from there, we're going to go ahead and throw in our monster stats here. So we have a 3 for strength. Dex is also a 3. Con is 3, -2 for intelligence, +1 for charisma or wisdom, and -1 for charisma. Now, what you don't see here is the proficiency bonus added in, which means if this number is actually higher than it's supposed to be, and you can generally compare that to the attacks, then the 2-hit bonus for the attacks, you'll see that it's lower, which shows that one of these has a proficiency bonus added in. It's not like an extra little feature like D&D does. So next we're going to move on to the armor class. So our armor class is a natural 14. We'll see here that we have a 13. We need to just add +1 to that to get us up to the 14. And we should be in the range of 13 to 15, which is perfect. So we're not going to have to worry about the tool modifying our hit points based off of higher or lower AC from either the low or the high end. From there, we would also look at the speed. That's important because the speed does actually give our monster extra hit points if they're really slow, like slimes, undead zombies, anything that moves under 30 feet gets a boost to their hit points. But because our Manticore here, I almost said Manticore, the Manticore here has 30 feet of movement and 50 feet of flying, we don't have to worry about that. Everything else is pretty much we can skip over, except we do have resistance for monstrosity resilience, which we'll cover in a little bit here in a moment. Everything else is not important. So next we look at mimicry. Again, it just lets them, mimic humanoid voices. We don't care about that. We do care about the monstrosity resilience, as I mentioned above. So the Manticore here is resistant to exhaustion and to the frightened condition. So we'll just come down here and we will add in, what was it? Exhaustion and frightened. So we only have 2. This shouldn't trigger anything. And frightened. So we'll see here that nothing has been triggered in the negative section. If we had one more, so for instance, let's say we were also resistant to grapple, then we would get the -5% hit point bonus, or not bonus, but a -5% hit point adjustment for having 3 or more conditions. So I'll go ahead and remove that, and we will carry on with our Manticore here. We do have tail spike regrowth, which is just used for if the Manticore actually gets away from any attackers, or if it foolishly attacked a party that it shouldn't have, or for whatever reason it escapes, and it will regrow its spikes. From there, we then have multi-attack. The Manticore makes 1 bite and 2 claw attacks, or it makes 2 tail spike attacks. If both tail spikes attacks hit one creature, the target must succeed on a con save or be poisoned until the end of the next turn. So this is actually a good reason to keep your Manticore up in the sky, shooting their tail spikes. And it's actually part of their, probably part of their tactics. They're going to stay in the sky until they either are brought down for one reason or another, or they run out of tail spikes. So we do have a bite, a claw, and our tail spikes here. All of these are a 5-foot range, and or a reach, except for the tail spikes, which have a 200 foot range. but they all have +5 to hit, which is great because that is coming off of our strength, which means it's well within the expected attack bonus range. From there, we will then go ahead and add in our dice. Just to show you how the tool works for this particular version, we're going to go ahead and switch this to, we're going to go through the dice motions here just to show you what we're looking at. And we're going to add in probably strength as well. Yes, so we're going to get 7.5 there. For every odd number of dice, you always have to add in a half a damage when you're creating monsters or reviewing them like I'm doing here. Next is the claw. The claw is going to be 2d6 plus strength for a total of 10 because it's an even number of dice. We go ahead and give ourselves that +1 bonus. Normally it would be 3.5, and then we round up. You know, we add in, we get 10 from that. It would be 9 plus the bonus of 1 extra for 1 extra little point of damage. And sometimes that can make a big difference, actually. Then we go ahead and move on to adding in our combat workspace here. Now, as I mentioned before here, our Manticore here has a multi-attack of 1 bite and 2 claw attacks. And we don't have any multi-attack things. We do have the 1 attack here, so we'll just go ahead and move everything over. The attacks themselves, the claw and the bite, don't have anything. Actually, I forgot a step, and we need to look at the tail. So the tail also has the 7.5 points of damage, but it also has poison damage. So we'll go ahead and make that difference here. Yeah, so it looks like our tail spike is also using strength, which is perfectly fine. And then we have 2 d4 for a total of 5 points of poison damage. Alright, now we have our damage for the bite, our damage for the claws, and our damage from the tail, which we are also including the poison damage there for a total of 12.5. Now, technically our tail spike does have a rider of poison damage, but because it's not a condition, we don't have to worry about adding in any conditions here, and we will just ignore the new DPR on the right here because we want the numbers with the decimal points. Now we do have multi-attacks here, so as I mentioned before, we have a bite and 2 claws. We will add those in together, and we'll get that times 2 for a total of 27.5, or we have 2 tail strike attacks, which is going to be our tail spike attacks, and that's just simply those times 2. So technically our bites do more damage, but because we also have that poison condition from the multi-attack, that could be pretty handy, and add in the poison condition. Okay, so looking at our attacks here, we have one of 2 things we can do. We can stay in the air and throw our tail spikes and attack that way, or we can then land on the ground if we're pulled to the ground and attack with our multi-attack. And now either one of these is going to be perfectly good options. Honestly, I would stick to the tail spikes for the time being and attack like that. But we'll see here that the multi-attack with the tail spikes is actually 1 point under the expected low end range for our damage per round here. If it was 2, we would actually get a bonus adjustment to hit points, but because it's only 1 and we're expecting every 2, like we can see here, ever so briefly, that every 2 points the creature's damage per round is below the minimum average for its CR, which in this case would be 26, we would get a bonus. The reason it's checked right now is because technically the tool thinks we have 0 DPR, so that's why it's giving us 13 times the number of 5 here for extra hit points, but that's actually not the case. If we throw in the numbers here, we'll see that now it's within range and we don't have any hit point adjustments. So luckily, with both attacks here for our multi-attack, either of these is going to be within range and it's not going to adjust our creature. Now the last thing we need to look at here is the spiky retaliation. When a creature the Manticore can see hits it with a melee attack within 5 feet of it, the Manticore can jab a spike into the attacker. The attacker must succeed on a dex save or take poison damage. So that's pretty cool. That's a nice little addition and change from its counterpart from the other game system. Which, in some cases, we won't see, but in other cases we will. So if we want to add this in, we're going to go ahead and say with the multi-attack, we're obviously going to be in the melee area. We're going to be seeing this in. So we're going to go ahead and add that as well. And we'll throw in an extra 5 there for every round of combat. And ironically enough, with the average damage here, we should be like 1 point over, but because we have the half and we round down for combat and combat damage, this is only 1 point over. So our Manticore is teetering on this edge of it's a little too high in damage and a little too low in damage on certain areas. So averaged out, technically, if we take the average of our 2 attacks here and go with that, which why not? Let's go ahead and pull that up real quick. We'll say 32.5 plus 25 divided by 2. We're going to have 28 and a quarter, or 3/4. So that falls within the range, depending on if we attack a couple rounds in air and then attack a couple rounds on the ground. The average is probably the best way to go here. Alright, and that looks like that's pretty much it. We do have a variant, but I'm not concerned about the variant. You know, if you like, take a look at that and make the adjustments as you see fit here. Let's see here. How did our Manticore turn out? Sure enough, with all of the adjustments that we made and the damage being well within reason, we're seeing that our hit points are exactly what we were expecting for a CR3 Manticore, and this is 100% accurate for Kobold Press. Another one is, you know, right where it should be, unlike other monsters from other game systems. In any event, if you like what I'm doing here, go ahead and check the description below. You can get the tool completely for free at my Ko-fi page, or you can donate if you feel so obliged to. You can also donate in other ways of becoming a channel member or becoming a Ko-fi supporter. There's also my Ko-fi shop where you can buy or download for free classes for both Tales of the Valiant and D&D, subclasses for both games, monsters, and some other items there as well. Or you can simply like, share, and subscribe. All that, leave a comment is super appreciated. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.